Hola, everybody. Welcome to the Chats with Yvonne podcast with me, your host, Yvonne Armenta, where I talk about public speaking con cultura. This week, we're back with part 2 of the hidden costs of public speaking. And I want to be clear that when I say costs, I don't necessarily mean just monetary. I also mean those things that we don't always consider to be essential parts of public speaking, like our well being. That's why today's episode, I'd like to talk about our well being as speakers. And I do want to apologize for any background noise that you may hear. I am not in my usual recording area environment, pero pues bueno, I wanted to make sure that I still got this episode out, and let's get into it. So, for this specific episode and everything that I do, I'm not attempting to give you a recipe for taking care of yourselves, but more so create awareness of how the lack of attention to our well being can lead to things like burnout, especially because as speakers, we're constantly interacting with audiences, thinking about their needs and how our message can best resonate with them. Add in the nerves that inevitably come with public speaking. We're not often taught how to deal with the nerves, how to live with them. We're often actually seeking for ways to completely get rid of them. So it makes the idea of being nervous a negative thing, which can have an impact in how we perform or how we think we performed. As an introvert and someone that experiences anxiety, not necessarily tied to public speaking all the time, but more in my day to day, I've learned that I need a self care plan. I know more planning, but it can work. And I'm not saying self care cures anxiety. What I'm saying actually is that because I'm an introvert, I've learned that the energy that I exude and the energy that I receive, because of it, it's so important that I implement some form of self caring, self soothing to help me come down from all of that energy. In an article by Healthline, it explains how anxiety can have effects on your body. Quote, everyone has anxiety from time to time, but chronic anxiety can interfere with your quality of life. While perhaps most recognized for behavioral changes, anxiety can also have serious consequences on your physical health. The article lists some of the ways that anxiety can affect each part of our body, and for the purpose of this podcast, I think it's worth it to read through each one. So, the Healthline article has a diagram of the human body, and so I'll walk through each one of the things that it shows on here. I will also link the article in the description of this podcast episode. So, some effects of anxiety on the body. You experience a sense of doom, frequent feelings of impending doom. You may also have difficulty concentrating. That sits in the brain. Headaches from constant worry and stress are common. Irritability. Constant worry can increase your overall feelings of irritability. Up in the brain as well, panic attacks. It can lead to physical symptoms including heart palpitations, chest pain, and lightheadedness. Depression. Symptoms include social withdrawal, loss of interest in activities, and feelings of guilt or hopelessness. Extreme fatigue, feeling wiped out at various points throughout the day. You may also have problems sleeping. Moving down over to the lungs, breathing problems. Rapid, shallow breathing can be more intense when having a panic attack. In our heart, pounding heart. Heartbeat may quicken in pace and intensity and can occur with panic attacks. Upset stomach. Stomach pains may be accompanied by nausea and diarrhea. In your veins, increase in blood pressure. Blood pressure may rise whenever your anxiety flares up. Muscle aches and other pains. Anxiety isn't just felt mentally. Unexpected aches and pains can also occur. And loss of libido can decrease sexual desire. The reason I'm sharing those isn't to self-diagnose, to diagnose yourself either, but more so to share that these things that we can't often see and maybe sometimes we have a really hard time explaining do truly manifest themselves in our physical health and well-being. And just being simply aware of those things can be extremely transformational in our overall well-being journey. And I'll link the article in the description of this podcast again, only for awareness. This is by no means medical advice, diagnosis, or anything like that. I really love Healthline articles because they have a really well-rounded, empathetic, and factual way of expressing information in ways that help the average reader understand. So check them out if you have some time. Now, let's talk about the nervios. I'll speak for myself in this moment. When I get nervous to speak, I've noticed there are different types of nerve. They're truly not all built the same. For example, very early in my speaking career, I was nervous because I felt that I was missing something. I wasn't connected to self as a speaker because my foundation didn't come from internalizing who I truly was and public speaking con mi cultura at the forefront. It, to some extent, came from attempting to be what I felt I needed to be accepted, or to do public speaking right. Those nerves were something else. They came from a place of fear, uncomfort, uneasiness, lack of deep alignment and connection to self. The nerves I experience today stem from a place of, damn, I love what I do. I have a speaking foundation rooted in my cultura, lived experiences, my introversion, myself. And I just want to do the best that I can for the audience that I have in front of me. These nerves are gentle, forgiving, exciting, and they're part of my process. So before thinking about how to get rid of the nerves, I think it'd be so helpful to instead think about where the nerves stem from and where their foundation is. As a part of my public speaking framework, Reflect, Connect, Share, which is meant to center us in our unique style as speakers, we spend a good portion of time with my one-on-one clients in the reflection piece in order to understand your lived experiences and use them to inform how you connect with your audience and share your message. It truly matters because skipping that part will only continue a cycle of feeling the uneasy type of nerves instead of the gentle, forgiving, exciting type of nerves. Calm.com gives us some practices to help control our nerves. Accept that feeling nervous is normal. Prepare well in advance to significantly reduce nervousness. Use positive affirmations to encourage yourself. Avoid known stressors before important events. Focus on your breathing to regulate your nervous system. Stay present and concentrate on what you're doing in the moment. Limit caffeine intake to avoid heightening anxiety. Practice mindfulness to calm your mind. Visualize success to boost your confidence. Reach out for support to lighten your emotional load. And I think these are all really good and important. For example, preparing well in advance to significantly reduce nervousness. I always plan my self-care. I always plan what I'm going to do before and after. Usually it involves a lot of silence. Avoiding known stressors before important events. What things stress you out? And if you're about to go on stage and public speak, how can you create a day where maybe those things aren't there? And that is, of course, things always happen. Life is life. So how can we practice mindfulness to calm the mind right before going up on stage? And I will say that even with my current foundation as a speaker, I always need a self-care plan after speaking. I give so much energy, receive so much energy that I need something that allows me to simply exist. What is that for you? And yes, I think doom scrolling for a bit helps. I drive in silence. Pretty much any activity that involves silence and minimal interaction, that's what I want to do. That's my way of staying well after public speaking and even before. So let's collectively decide to become even more aware of our needs as speakers beyond the stage, beyond the speech. What do we need as individuals to continue showing up if we want, when we want, and how we want? Do more of that. Remember that amongst all the chaos that I know comes with preparing for a public speaking engagement, you also have to leave room, or you don't have to. It's suggested. Leave room for your well-being and make an intentional plan for it. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and that it made you add to your public speaking journey in some way. If you don't already, please follow Chats with Yvonne and my newest brand, Latina Presente, on Instagram and all social platforms for the full updates of events, programming, and products, which are all launching sooner than you think. By the way, we're launching our very first product on July 20th at my first in-person event. Y'all are sort of the first to know here, so ahí vayan con el chisme si quieren. I'll be updating y'all with the chisme on Instagram and through email for all of my email subscribers as well. Like I always say, if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your tías, tíos, cousins, sisters, everyone and their mamas. Y nos vemos a la próxima.